Imagine having anxiety just hearing the topic of credit scores or having credit requirements. For many of us, this is something we've experienced in the past. For some of us, we're experiencing it right now. Thinking about all of the financial goals that credit is in the way of, or thinking about all of the financial burdens that you have that credit is tied to. We're going to be talking about some of the greatest frustrations and challenges around improving your credit score and touch on some topics and tactics that can help ease some of that pressure for you when it comes around to building your credit score. If you're somebody with a solid credit score already, then you may want to continue to watch this video to be able to provide value to somebody around you who does not have it. Because 9 out of 10 times, most likely, somebody close to you doesn't have great credit and it's deeply affecting their life. So this video is inspired by a poll that was on my channel. The poll basically asked the question, what's your biggest challenge or frustration when trying to improve your credit score? So we're going to go over the list of options that were available and talk about, some of the statistics based on the poll, and then talk about each one of them because every single one of them are applicable for some of us. I'm JP, the founding architect of the channel. I have 13 plus years in financial services, 11 plus years in retail banking at the time of this recording. That's small business banking, consumer banking, as well as private client banking. So dealing with everybody from individuals on the inception of their financial journey or their business journey to those with 6 and 7 figures in revenues and net worth and occasionally higher. So I have an active mortgage loan originator's license in my state, active life insurance license, FINRA investment license, small business certified. So I've been all over financial services for quite some time, as well as bringing my own personal credit scores from the 500s to the 800 plus, and my net worth from negative 5 figures to positive 6 figures in less than 10 years. So you're getting this information from somebody with professional experience, a lot of it, as well as somebody who's taken themselves from the gutter to a pretty respectable financial place and growing at the time of this recording. So if you're looking to customize your blueprint for prosperity through relationship banking mastery and maximizing your borrowing capacity and all of the components that go into that, you're in the right place. So when we talk about the biggest challenges and frustrations that come with improving your credit score, the first one that was an option on this poll was understanding how to calculate it or how it's calculated, your credit score, that is. Dealing with past mistakes, so we'll call that negative items. Lack of access to credit products, which is a byproduct of the first two. And the slow process. We're going to talk about that somewhat extensively given the time of this video, because that's honestly one of the biggest ones that I notice people struggle with. So when it comes to understanding how it's calculated, to be completely frank, there's too many free resources out there for people to not know how your credit score is calculated. That is a sign that you have not dedicated time, interest, and effort around your credit score, point blank and period. At the end of the day, when it comes to your credit score, literally banks are furnishing this information to you. It's there for free now. It's very, very abundant to get access to your credit score and how the credit metrics shake out. So this is one that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, because if you don't understand how credit is calculated and credit is a problem for you in your finances, you're not taking it serious yet. So when it comes to dealing with past mistakes, negative items that you've incurred from previous financial hardships or bad decision making or risk taking, this is going to be a different one. We're talking about collections, charge-offs, judgments, tax liens, various other negative items that can be on your credit report. It could be, a bunch of inquiries because you didn't know, your credit was being pulled or was going to be pulled as frequently as it was when you were applying for products. A lot of different things could be contributing to having poor credit or past mistakes with your credit history. This kind of dives us into the concept of credit repair, which if you follow the channel, why I stand with credit repair. At the end of the day, if you're new catching this, my stance on credit repair is essentially that it can be a very effective strategy to help you expedite putting your credit in position for you to capitalize on your finances, but trying to find legitimate entities to assist with it, or the journey it can take for you to do it on your own, can be tumultuous. Most companies, well over 50% of the companies and individuals that claim to specialize in credit repair are bogus, fraud, or unethical. At the end of the day, that's just facts. At the end of the day, what I would encourage you to do is either do a ton of due diligence on who you decide to do business with if you're going to outsource this need for credit repair, or do your due diligence and the gumption and the focus to work on trying to do as much of it yourself as you can. I've also put out in previous videos that your state's attorneys general can help with some credit repair needs from a perspective of, you know, truly authentic, negative and erroneous, or, you know, disingenuous items that are on your credit report. So if you are having a hard time with credit repair, you're having a hard time with creditors getting responses, or the credit bureaus, and you're legitimately trying, and you know what's on your credit report is inaccurate, you know, unjust, you know, erroneous, etc., then your state's attorneys general is an entity you can turn to that's almost like the state level of the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that you can turn to that would actually, you know, reach out to creditors and assist with your credit repair needs or negative item or past mistake issues. That's specifically going to be in that arena. That's not the same thing when you're talking about inquiries and getting those removed. It's not going to be for every negative item that you have, especially if it's legitimate. I don't advise you to play games with the state's attorneys general, knowing that something's legitimately on your credit report and you're trying to use them as muscle to push some stuff off of it. But they can be a great resource. So when it comes to dealing with past mistakes, this is where you can end up paying significantly more on interest for various forms of financing. You can find yourself very limited in access to banking and financial products that you need to deal with your day-to-day life or your higher level financial goals. You can be haunted for years, up to 7 to 10 years, depending on what the negative items are on your credit report. And they can be extremely impactful in your ability to proceed forward in your life. So I do understand this as an antagonizing portion of the credit journey, credit building journey, or the improvement journey. And again, I just recommend that you do your due diligence on who you do your credit repair with through legitimate sources, or do your own due diligence and attempt to try to do as much of it yourself as you can. Credit repair is the wild, wild west. I assure you, if you haven't been down that road already, it is a very, very dangerous place that can lead. So I have previous videos that I've just recorded not that long ago covering, you know, my perspective on credit repair, experience with credit repair as a professional and someone in need of it at one point in time, and how to go about dealing with it effectively. So please check out that video. I may drop it in the description down below. So lack of access to credit products. This is where I kind of a bread and butter for me on this channel is going to be financial, banking, and credit related products. You know, having a thorough understanding with those products, having access to as much of those products as possible. And then I specialize at getting creative with those products. So taking combinations of these products and using them to advance your finances, to effectively take risk and leverage to scale up at a higher or faster pace or rate. That is something that I take a lot of pride in as a knowledge base and something I cover a lot on this channel. Lack of access to credit products can be a real drag when it comes to trying to improve your credit score. A real drag, because at the end of the day, you need largely credit products to improve your credit score or to build it out effectively. There are alternative products now and alternative reportings that are available to help build your credit score, but you're only going to get so far when you start talking about, you know, accessing real capital, like, you know, mortgages, quality credit cards, business funding, real estate investing, you know, anything that credit is deeply tied to as a criteria. You're going to have financial products and access to them and navigate them effectively in order to put the rest of your strategy to work when it comes to accessing those products that I just named. So it is very important to make sure you have access. So if you're in a situation where you don't have good access to credit products, you have a couple options with that. The obvious option is just to have decent credit and you'll have access just because you have a good financial reputation. You're clearly watching this video. You're either somebody who doesn't have that at the moment, or you're somebody, as I said earlier on in the video, that's fine, but you know somebody else that doesn't, and you want to give them some guidance or get some free insight on how you can guide them to solving this problem. The next thing you're going to want to do is lean on your cash. That's the most effective strategy that you'll have left when it comes to accessing bank and credit related products if you don't have good credit in the first place. Cash is the next best option. This is actually where relationship banking shines. When you can walk into a financial institution and establish a healthy banking relationship with them, which is essentially really just a game of cash flow. It's setting up various banking products, deposit products, and other products, you know, funneling your money in and effectively funneling that money through their institution and out to wherever it needs to go. When you master that game, credit products are in abundance for you at that point in time. So if you don't have the credit, the next thing you want to focus on is the cash. So the next thing is the slow progress. I'm going to spend a couple of seconds on this one because this is the one I notice as a financial professional people struggle with the most. They want everything fixed immediately and they want it built overnight. This is why the trade line game got so big and people were making so much money off selling trade lines, on these various broker sites and et cetera. If you're not familiar, trade lines in this example I'm talking about is when you have an existing credit product as a primary, and credit cards are the most popular for this. There's broker sites where you can add, your financial institution will allow you to add an authorized user, and many of those financial institutions will copy and paste the credit data of that card onto the authorized user's credit report. So you can pass your good credit along or rent it out to other people. That has caught a lot of traction over the last years. Mainstream, it's been around for decades, but it's got mainstream attraction because people want instant results. They want to go from not even knowing what the hell credit is to having an 800 credit score in a matter of weeks or months. It's insane, but that's the truth. The game is so much smarter than that. And what I mean by that is you have to have effective long-term strategy in building your credit report, because the underwriting systems are hip to these short-term blips and synthetic enhancements to your credit report. They're very hip to it. So yeah, you might get away with doing all of the trade line stacking and credit repairing to get access to maybe some base level credit cards, or maybe even some potentially high level ones. You might be able to get a car loan, or get personal loans. When you start talking about mortgages, real estate investing mortgages, and I'm talking about through traditional banks, all right? Not like hard money lending and stuff like that, where they don't lean as heavy on your credit. I'm talking about the highest quality form of capital, like SBA lending and traditional brick and mortar banks for business funding and real estate lending, which are the two areas that I recommend you use credit the most for. You should be working towards that. They're going to be looking well beyond those cute little secondary trade lines you got on your report. And that being the case, that basically means that you have to play the game long enough with a dense enough and a long enough standing credit report to qualify for these things on your own. And you can't get around adding years as a primary account on your report authentically. You can't get around it. And you need a lot of them. If you pay attention to the credit metrics on your Credit Karmas and all of these different financial institutions providing this stuff to you in the app, if you do a little bit of digging around, you'll find out that you really don't have like a FICO high achiever level credit profile until you have 20 plus trade lines on your credit report. A lot of you don't even realize that your credit profile is a paper thing compared to what lenders are comfortable dealing with when you start talking about higher levels of access to leverage. So to wrap this up, what I basically am saying is that I understand for many of you the frustration of dealing with, trying to reestablish or build your credit from scratch. You're going to have to try to be patient with yourself, and you're going to have to do this authentically if you want it to be sustainable and get true access to the financial system at the levels that are available. The synthetic stuff is going to be cool in spurts, but for the most part, you're going to want to do this authentically. When it comes to the biggest challenges that were on this list, and just to revisit as we close out, that was going to be understanding how it's calculated. Take the time out to learn this stuff. It's too many free resources. Dealing with the past mistakes. Do a ton of due diligence if you're going to outsource credit repair. And if you're going to do it yourself, be prepared to take time and effort and concentration to do so. And again, as a backup resource, there are attorneys and estate attorneys generals in your given state that can assist with these things and be legitimate entities to do so. Lack of access to credit products. If you don't have the credit to access credit products, then the next thing you're going to have that's going to give you control is cash flow. Go out and make some extra money, leverage that money to put down as collateralized to get access to credit until you build a financial reputation off of those products to get unsecured credit. Slow process. Credit takes time, as all great things do. The benefits and the pros and the access you get to the financial system and the potential outcomes from smart use of your credit scores and credit profile is so vast and so large that it is absolutely going to take time to maximize, to truly get to the depths of its potential. It's going to take time, like years. Even in the speed of the system we're in now, it's still going to take you years, potentially decade plus, before you really start kicking the door down to quality credit that opens the door at financial institutions and lenders. So respect the process and make the use of the time. Make the use of the time by building out a smart, well thought out, strategic, balanced credit profile that will lead to a very strong, sturdy, and resilient credit score. To all of you who have been on this journey of credit improvement or building or rebuilding, comment down below and let me know which one of the 4 that I went over have antagonized you the most. If it's currently doing so, comment that down below. If you're a whiz who's been like mastering credit for years and this is a no-brainer for you and you've made it this far in the video, comment some tactics or strategies or some add-ons that you would put into this video or put on the topic itself in the comment section below for those who are going to catch this that aren't in the best position. Pass along at least one value or trait that you can reiterate something I covered or something that I didn't cover that you think would be valuable in this conversation. Comment down below. To all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. I want each of you to like, comment, share, subscribe, support this channel so this channel can continue to support you. I want you to get in the description down below. Check out my Instagram, tie in with me on there. Slowly but surely grinding it out, putting content and building the community or expanding the community on Instagram. So get in the description and link up with me there below. If you're looking for a curated, hands-on guidance, coach, mentorship around your finances, your banking relationships, maximizing your borrowing capacity, increasing your net worth strategically and effectively and genuinely, then you may want to work with me one-to-one, and there's links and descriptions down below. I have very curated list of things that I specialize in that I could assist you with. And I assure you, can't guarantee you results because at the end of the day, that's going to be a matter of you implementing, but I can guarantee you're going to get quality guidance and curated and tailored guidance to your situation. So if you're looking to work with me one-to-one, you get in the description box down below. Other than that, I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.